Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet FPL. My name's James. We've got a special podcast today, having a look ahead to the new WSL season that kicks off this Friday night at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Manchester City. I'd like to say Lauren Harris is with me. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, James. How are you?
Good stuff. Yeah, not too bad at all. We have a bit of a discussion about the teams, some of the transfers made this summer. We're going to talk a little bit of WSL Fantasy towards the end as well. But want to start with a little bit of a discussion in terms of a bit of a rebranding for the league. And there's going to be a bit of a change from next season as well. What can you tell us, Lauren?
So we've got essentially the league is being expanded from the current 12 teams to 14 teams at the beginning of next season. And the way that that's going to happen this season is that the top two teams from the WSL 2 will be promoted. Previously, it's only been one from that league. And then whoever finishes bottom of the WSL is going to play in a playoff with whoever has finished third in the WSL 2. And so the winners of that game um, will either be promoted to the WSL or will remain in the WSL, depending on
Or
who.
stay. So we're 12 teams now. We're going to be 14 teams next season. What's the target? Because there was a little bit of conversation a few months ago about the idea of just completely halting relegation, which I know a lot of people weren't happy with. But you and I had spoke about the potential to give a bit of sustainability to clubs in the WSL moving forwards.
Yeah. So from 26, when the league's gone to 14 teams, it's going to be the bottom team will be relegated. So whoever's finished bottom will definitely be relegated, and then there's going to be a continuation of a playoff. So it will be the 13th placed team who plays in this playoff against whoever's finished runners up in the WSL 2. Which I think is a good way to do it. Um, there's still jeopardy this season with WSL of you could get relegated. Obviously, you could have a position where a team finishes bottom, wins a playoff, and stays in the league. Um, but at least there is still that jeopardy of it happening, whilst still sort of growing the number of teams. And I think growing the number of teams in the league is also a real positive for the growth of women's football in general. Um, WSL 2 last season was really, really competitive, and there's quite a few teams actually that could be fighting for those top three spots. So I think it makes the WSL 2 maybe have a little bit more exposure, a little bit more excitement drawn towards it because people are going to be looking at whoever finishes bottom of the WSL are going to be playing that big playoff grudge match. So it kind of increases the exposure on that league as well.
And so, what's the final target for WSL teams?
I don't know what they're hoping to grow to in total. There's kind of been a bit of a question marks over player welfare in the sense that next season they're going to go from 22 games to 26 games with the two increased teams. So I think it's going to be gradual, and there has to be a limit, doesn't there? Because like we've seen in the men's game, if the number of matches teams are playing increases too much, then there's kind of that issue of injuries and so on. So I'm not sure what they're hoping to get to in total, but I'd say 16 is probably
But I guess this is
ideal.
only an issue, and it's what people say even within the men's game. It's only an issue for the teams that are in European competition, really, right?
Yeah, correct. Um, but I don't think there's enough at the moment, enough infrastructure in the women's game to support that growth for those top three teams, for
Is
example.
there a plan for a Europa League
Yes,
in
there
women's
is.
football?
Yeah,
Right.
that's starting this season.
So it starts
Um,
this season. So who's is there English representation in that this year?
there will only be English representation if Man United don't win their playoff.
Right.
Got a playoff against Bran, and if they win that, then they'll go into the Champions League phase, which has sort of changed to be a little bit like the men's. At the moment, the third place teams from domestic leagues ranked between 8th and 13th in the coefficient league. England are fourth, I believe. They're going straight into the Europa League. And then any team that's runners up in leagues ranked 18th to 24th are also going into that. And then the rest of the teams are made up from any team that has lost their Champions League qualifying round. So
So
there's
top two going straight into the Champions League, and the
uh,
third goes into a playoff. Is
Not
that
in
right?
England. In England, top three are still going into the Champions. Oh, sorry, the
Okay.
Champions League playoff. Or
What? Sorry.
so the third place WSL team will go into the Champions League playoff,
Yeah,
and then if they lose, they go into
they
the
go into the Europa League.
yeah.
Okay. But there's no plans for like fourth or fifth from England to go into Europa League from next year or anything.
Not at this time, no. I mean,
That's interesting because they'll be knocking for that, I should imagine.
I think yeah. Every year you sort of in the WSL, it's the four big teams, isn't it? And every year one of those misses out on Europe. Um, so I think as the WSL grows and as women's football in general grows, I'm sure it will naturally. You'll get more teams.
Okay. And the WSL2, as obviously you mentioned, is likely to be quite competitive again. It
Hmm.
was the championship. It's had a rebranding to WSL2.
Yeah,
There's no suggestion that's going to happen in the men's game, by the way. Why has this all come about? It's a change of ownership of the leagues, is that right?
yeah. It's a whole. They've rebranded the logos and in my opinion, it's one of those things where like when a new board takes over at a football club or you get a new owner, whatever, they come in and they want to put their stamp on things. In my opinion, a lot of it is superficial, surface level stuff that they've just done to. They want the Women's Super League 2 to sort of be more aligned with the WSL, and I guess they think by rebranding the name, it sort of brings them together. Um, I don't personally think it makes a difference, but it's all part of their sort of drive to get more people um, watching that league as well as the top league.
Yeah, and in terms of watching, in terms of eyes on the brand of the competition this year, I think we can expect that to increase. Am I right in saying every game is now going to be shown live?
Yeah, most of those are going to be on Sky, but there's 21 matches, I believe, that the BBC have got across the season. And all of the WSL 2 matches are going to be on YouTube, which is a first, so that's good.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that's engaging with a younger audience of Bundesliga, trying something different. As me and Such going to discuss some money in football yesterday as well. I think the real striking thing for me is the kickoff times.
mhm.
So we're getting rid of this nonsense 6:45 slot on a Sunday, I believe, Lauren.
Yes, thank God. Um, so Friday nights and Sunday lunchtimes are the new kind of two slots. And I think what we will probably see when the Champions League is happening is you'll see the European teams may well play more frequently on Friday nights. There seems to be a bit of a discussion around giving them more time to rest between those matches. So if they've got a European game the following week, then they may be playing the Friday night.
So what you're telling me is that the league is actually going to do their best to try and help the teams that are in European competition.
That's a novel idea, isn't it?
Premier League, are you listening? I mean, it's quite straightforward. We see this all the time in like Liga and stuff. It's like PSG are playing Europe, they'll play on the Friday night before wherever that's possible.
The
So
Liga
yeah,
do it well, don't they? It's
yeah, all the other basically it's just us in the men's Premier League don't seem to want to help our clubs in Europe for one reason or another. That's really positive to hear because in terms of the growth of the game, obviously seen Arsenal win the Champions League this year, which was a big surprise in terms of them beating Barcelona in the final. The growth of the game is going to only help further, as kind of seen by how well the Lionesses have done in recent tournaments, if the club teams are doing great on the European stage as well.
yeah, exactly. And I think the midday kickoffs on a Sunday is also going to be huge in terms of getting a wider audience watching the games. There won't be. You might have Scottish football matches at that time, for example, but there's not going to be English football.
No,
Premier
I don't think so. I don't even think there's going to be much intention to have English Championship games at
League.
that time either. I don't think might be one or two potentially. But yeah, the eyes on that 12 o'clock Sunday slot is now, as it looks to me, going to be primed to get eyes on the WSL. So, for example, this weekend we've got Chelsea Man City on the Friday night. Arsenal and London City Lionesses at the Emirates on Saturday at 1:30. At the BBC showing that, I'm taking it, I think.
I'm not sure. I haven't, to be honest. I'm going to the game, so I haven't looked at what TV channel it's on. It's not listed on here under Sky, so yeah, it must be BBC.
Okay. And the other four games are on the Sunday at 12 o'clock, and Sky are going to show them all simultaneously. Okay. That's good. Another new change this year, Lauren. So are you gonna have a pint in your hand when you watch the game at the Emirates on Saturday?
Well, I actually don't drink, so this change isn't really going to make much difference to me. But yeah, so there was a pilot last season with some teams, um, just in the WSL 2, I believe, of being able to take beer into your seats essentially. Um, and interestingly, over the last 3 seasons, and it's only 3 seasons that they've got statistics for, but over the last 3 seasons, there has been no arrests at a women's football match anywhere in the country. Um, when I went to the Euros in the summer, we were allowed to take you were allowed to take alcohol into your seats there. Again, I didn't see any trouble whatsoever. And they piloted it last season in WSL 2 and there were no issues. So I believe there's something in the law that prevents the men's teams from being able to do that, which doesn't.
Yeah, it's a law within sight of the pitch.
Yeah,
Can't drink within sight of the pitch, basically.
but that doesn't. The women's teams, for some reason, I'm not sure what in the law
Well,
stipulates that.
good behaviour. I mean, when we spoke in the summer after the Lionesses victory, we spoke about the kind of differences in terms of, you support one team, someone else supports another team, but it feels more like a celebration. There's good banter about it, but there isn't hostility.
Yeah.
Um,
Tribalism. There's less tribalism, isn't
yeah,
there?
I think that's very fair to say. So I noticed that one of my club's not one of these listed that's going to do this, though, Lauren. So I can't go to White Hart Lane and have a beer in my hand while I watch the girls play.
I wonder if they'll change that. Um,
Well, I think it's fair to say that part of the reason for doing this, they think will help attendances, right?
yeah,
Because we have a drinking problem in this country.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So if you're going to be sat in the pub drinking, you might as well be sat in a football stadium
Well,
drinking.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I mean, I hope it doesn't attract the wrong crowd, but I think everything that I've seen at a women's football match, um, in comparison to the men's football matches that I've been to, you can definitely trust the clientele of people coming to watch women's football to drink
uh,
in a
I
in a
I
stand and
I
not start
think
fighting.
I think you're absolutely right, and the majority of the teams are going to enable it. Tottenham is just a rare one that's not. Manchester City have said they will only do it when they're at the Joy Stadium. So if they play at the Etihad, you won't be able to drink within sight of the pitch. But I think Arsenal are doing it, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, London City Lionesses we'll speak about in a bit, Manchester United as well, all in the WSL are going to allow drinking in your seats if you want to. Can I just add, I would not want to see that in men's football.
No, I mean I don't think I went to Millwall last week, Millwall Wrexham, and there was enough aggression and anger in that game without alcohol being allowed in seats. And if you allow alcohol to come in, it's yeah, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm happy to say it. I think the people who go and watch WSL games can be trusted, and the rest of us can't. It's like, when England's scoring a major tournament, I want to throw my beer in the air. No, I don't. It's cost too much money to be
Yeah,
throwing my
well,
beer away. And my first thoughts were that if you're in a bar, if you score a goal and it's like, don't knock my drink over, it's like, put it down quick or something. Yeah, it's not a fault to throw it in the air. Anyway, that's off topic. Talk to us about some of the transfers that's gone through, Lauren. There's one real headline one I want to touch on first is Olivia Smith. Caught a lot of headlines, moved from your club, Liverpool, to Arsenal. I think she's only been with you a year, is that right?
yeah. Really, really disappointing as a Liverpool fan to lose her, but you have to be realistic and say that it's not a surprise. It was only going to be a matter of time before one of the top clubs came in for her. I think for me as a Liverpool fan, there's frustrations that we aren't a club that a player feels like they're going to get those opportunities at, given how big the men's team is. But yeah, she's a phenomenal player. She got PFA Young Player of the Year last season. Um, she made a debut for Canada when she was 15 in 2019, which kind of you very rarely get players that young in women's football starting for an adult team. I know we've seen it quite a bit in this season in the Premier League, but it's very rare in women's football. Um, and she was named best young player at the CONCACAF Gold Cup last summer. And when you think about the fact that you've got USA, Brazil, teams like that in that competition, it just shows you how good she is, really.
The reason it's called particular headline this transfer is because it's the first £1 million transfer for a female footballer. I believe that record has since been broken by a transfer in America, I think.
Yes.
But that's a huge headline, and I think speaks again in terms of the increased investment. Do you think the women's game, in terms of size of fees, is about to explode in the way maybe say the men's game did going back to 30 years or so?
I think in proportion to where it's been, yes. We're not gonna start seeing, ridiculous sums of money in terms of. I
No,
don't think
but then this £1 million would have been ridiculous 10 years ago, wouldn't
it
it?
would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also got. I don't know. I don't think it's officially been confirmed, but London City were going for. Barcelona player had a 500 grand release clause, and the rumor is that they have put that money in and they've um, essentially signed it, but it hasn't officially been announced. So for a club like that who's just been promoted to do that in the women's game, that's a massive amount of money. So yeah, it's exciting, I think, because obviously the more money that players are going for, then that's going to bring up wages and money for infrastructure and so on. So it's good. It's just not great for my team.
No, I'm sure that investment is going to come from Liverpool. I mean, the men's team's happy to spend a little bit of money, Lauren. A few notable transfers. Talk about this. I looked through a list this morning, and the striking thing to me is, be very honest, don't know a lot of these names.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at where a lot of these players are coming from into the league, it feels like some top teams around Europe. There's been a number of players joining from Barcelona, particularly, who
Yeah,
have arguably been the strongest women's team over the last few years in European football. They've got financial issues. Is that right, Lauren?
yeah, correct. And so the theory is that they've sort of been forced into quite a lot of these sales, and so much so that there were rumours that Aitana Bonmati was going to be coming to the WSL, which I think it's highly unlikely to happen, to be honest. But I think the more that the WSL is growing as a brand, the more likely it's going to be that those big players are going to come to the WSL. Barcelona has always been the pinnacle in the last sort of 4 or 5 years since they leapfrogged Lyon. But now players are choosing to come to WSL rather than go to Barcelona, and I think that's going to be good for us. But it's probably going to have a real negative effect on the women's league in Spain if that continues.
So why is the choice now our league? Is it a lot to do with this brand? Is it a lot to do with money in the game? Is it strength for the league? What's the reason to choose to come here for many people now?
I think it's a combination of all of those things. Mariona Caldente came from Barcelona last season, and she cited in a few interviews last season that Arsenal as a club, she'd seen how many people were coming to watch the games in the stadiums, how much support the team got as a club, Arsenal as a team. It's well documented that they are very supportive of the women's team in terms of facilities for training and so on. And I just don't think that some of the attitudes towards women's football in Spain are the same. They won the World Cup and not much has changed for them. Whereas when we won the Euros back in 2022, there was a mass change.
Yeah, well, I mean, with what they won as well, it felt like there was more controversy around the victory, unfortunately, than
Yeah.
than what actually happened on the field. What stood out for you in terms of transfers then?
Um, Chelsea, obviously the biggest, best team in England, haven't had a huge transfer window, but you could argue that they didn't really need to. The one big signing I'd say that they've made is Ellie Carpenter from Lyon, who's an Australia international, plays as a right back. So now they've only got Ellie Carpenter and Lucy Bronze to choose between. That's going to be poor then.
Has Lucy
Um,
recovered from a fracture yet? Do we know?
she will not be playing start season. No,
Remarkable.
I believe she had to have surgery on not on something else. I believe. Um,
Right.
so I mean, obviously, it's going to be very much for Lucy Bronze managing minutes, and so Ellie Carpenter as a signing is a very sensible signing for Chelsea with the amount of fixtures that they play. Chloe Kelly has formalised her move to Arsenal, which now takes them to having Olivia Smith and Chloe Kelly. They've signed this transfer window. They've still got Beth Mead and they've still got Caitlin Ford, so their options on the wings are very strong, which has led to Rosa Kofarji, who was a really exciting young talent, and when she was bought by Arsenal was sort of, I guess, seen in the same ilk that Olivia Smith, maybe a little bit less, but she had that excitement about her. Because of how much depth they've got, Kofarji has gone to Brighton on loan. Along
Michelle
with
Agerman's made the same move, right?
Michelle Adjumang, yeah, she's also gone to Brighton. Aston Villa have had quite a few outgoings, so notably Jordan Nobbs, ex-England international. She's actually gone down to WSL 2. From the northeast, originally played for Sunderland, but has interestingly gone to Newcastle, who will be one of the promotion chasers.
Was it quite the hostilities,
No,
again, to use that word?
no.
Tottenham took a player on loan from Arsenal a couple of years ago, I recall, and it's obviously there's no chance that happened in the men's game.
Yeah,
Which,
I
by the
mean,
way, Palace and Brighton talked about Igor Julio. It's not a rivalry. Sorry, keep going.
there's a whole motorway between them. Yeah, Alex Greenwood has played for Man City, Man United, Liverpool, and Everton. So, yeah. Maz Pacheco's left Villa and gone to Everton, which is a good signing for Everton. She's quite an interesting one for fantasy. I'll come on to her in a bit. For the Lionesses, interestingly, Ellie Roebuck was at Barcelona and she wasn't really playing, which led to her not being in the squad last summer or this summer. She's now gone to Aston Villa and is expected to be their number one. So
That's a big deal, that signing, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it is. It's for Villa definitely because Villa didn't really. Van Domselaar went to Arsenal last season, and they didn't sort of get the same quality in. So if Ellie Roebuck can stay fit, she's had some injury issues, but if she can stay fit, then that's really good for them. Brighton, obviously, I mentioned Kafaji and Ajimang, but they've also got people might remember Nadozi, the goalkeeper, who did really well for Nigeria in the World Cup, notably against us when we struggled to beat them.
That was in the World Cup in
Yeah,
23
free, yeah,
when Lauren James got sent off.
correct.
That game, yeah.
Manuela Venegas as well from that World Cup. She was one of the Colombian standout players. She's a fullback. They've signed her, and Japanese international Minami. So those are three really strong players that they've signed. They've had a few outgoings, Brighton, but I think they are hopefully going to continue with that really great form that they showed last season.
Is there any parallels with how the Brighton women's team do their business to the men's? In fact, we kind of hold Brighton's business in quite high regard.
Yeah.
Is there a trickle of that at all? Like, do we know if are the women's team using Tony Bloom's algorithms? Do we know?
To be honest, Brighton are so hard to get any information out of. They're the pre-season friendly. It was either at the weekend or a couple of days ago, and there's no information at all about who played, how long they played. Because I've been trying to look for fantasy reasons, and they're so bad with their communication. So I couldn't tell you.
But is it on purpose?
Maybe.
Because even some of the men's teams do that, don't they? Oh, we played a game behind closed doors. We won 3-1. This player scored, and then yeah, but who played?
But
Nothing.
they haven't done that. They haven't told you the result. They haven't told you nothing. Yeah, baffling. Everton have done some good business. So they've brought 3 Japanese internationals in.
Seems to be a number of Asian
Japanese,
players coming
yeah.
over.
Yeah, and again, I think we saw in the World Cup how good Japan are. But because it's so far away, you kind of, unless you see those players, you're not really exploited to it. So it's quite exciting that they've all come into the league. The real concern is Leicester. They've made very few signings. They've had quite a few players leave, and their manager got sacked last week. So will become
Why would you be sacking the manager now?
apparently. So they've got a new director of football, and the visions didn't align. Is the word on the street. There was interestingly a rumor of Matt Beard used to be Liverpool manager. He went to Burnley in the 3rd tier, which was massive because that's that sort of ilk of manager has never managed at that level before, and he resigned around the same time that Leicester
Okay.
manager. Now, apparently, the two things are not linked, but it just seems a bit. There was apparently Burnley refused Leicester being able to talk to Matt Beard a couple of weeks ago. So I think no one's going to be surprised if Matt Beard is suddenly Leicester manager in a few weeks' time.
Okay.
Liverpool, frustratingly, have not reinvested the Olivia Smith money as yet. There's still a couple of days to go in the transfer window.
Does
New
that
goalkeeper
close on the day, does it, of the first game? Is it Friday? Transfer window.
Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Taylor Hines has gone to Arsenal, who was a really good defender, and Gareth Taylor has just come in as manager, but was not announced as manager until halfway through pre-season. So, quite a frustrating pre-season for Liverpool.
Hold back on London City Lionesses. We'll come
Okay.
back onto them. City.
Um, City again, a bit like Chelsea. Obviously, Cloquet's gone. Jill Ward was quite a big player for them. She's left, and Leia Alexandri. They've had Iman Benet come in, who had a really good Euros with Switzerland. She was one of their standout players.
They got her before the tournament started, didn't they?
Yeah. Jade Rose, who is another exciting potential for Fancy because she's only 4 million, and Cindy Lohman from Bayern Munich, who's really good. So nothing like majorly exciting, but I don't think they've weakened per se. Man United have signed Fridolina Rolfo, who formerly of Barcelona. She can play wing back and on the wing. She's Swedish international. Has throughout her career been a very good player, so that could be a really good signing for United. But
Oh,
that's the
essentially,
other
again,
thing.
got that because of Barcelona's issues, right?
Yeah, exactly. Lots out the door. Barcelona, Spurs and West Ham. Not much to
Lauren,
on.
come on. I've got Toko Koga in from
Yes,
Feyenoord, 19-year-old Japanese defender, very highly related. I presume she's going to lead us to WSL glory, right?
she does sound. I haven't seen her play, so I can't comment. But she does sound exciting. But other than that, there's not much to comment. And Becky Spencer's gone to Chelsea, so um, yeah. I think the good thing for Spurs is managerial appointment of Martin Ho. I think he is a good manager, and I think tactically he will hopefully do well for you.
I heard that with Martin Wilhelm, was it the previous manager?
Mm.
It seemed to start quite well tactically and then not continue.
I think the difference with Martin Ho is he has been an assistant manager, so he was Casey Stoney's assistant at Man United. Got that experience under his belt. He went to manage Bran, who are Man United's opponents in the Champions League. He did really well there. And I've got a bit of a soft spot because I actually coached with him out in America. So kind of I want him to do well because of that relation. West Ham are a concern, but I think that they will have
Good.
enough of their. I think they'll have enough in their current squad to be okay.
Yeah, can't have all these other London clubs being better than us. Lawrence needs needs someone worse off. One London club we didn't speak about is London City Lionesses, which that feels like the biggest story to me going into this WSL season. No affiliation with any men's club. They're a unique entity in the sense that they are standalone. A club formed essentially off the back of Millwall's Lionesses originally, heavily bankrolled basically by Michelle Kang,
Mm-hmm.
who obviously has affiliation with Leon as well. And I believe she's got a stronger wording on what's happening with the men's team potentially now as well. This is a very unique story, and they're not coming in just to make up the numbers, are they?
No, in the last couple of seasons, Bristol City and Palace have come up, and you've sort of hoped for them that they'll be able to, at least get some points under their belt. I don't think there's any danger of London City finishing bottom like those two teams have. And in fact, Aslani, their captain, has done a report interview this week where she's talking about going for Champions League. I don't think that's their aim this season, but I think this could be the last season of that top four being the top four. I can see them easily finishing mid-table this season, and you know that once they've got sort of embedded in the WSL, Kang's just going to carry on spending, and they will shake up that top four, I think.
14 signings I've got listed.
Yeah, and it's a lot of them are WSL proven players as well. It's not just that they've sort of got all these players from abroad. So you've got Aslani was there last season, but we saw in the Euros in the summer. Although she's aging, she's still very good player. Danielle van der Donk from Lyon, who has previously played for Arsenal, Netherlands international, very strong. Nikita Paris obviously got massive WSL pedigree, played for a ton of teams, Lioness, won the Euros and so on. Katie Zellem's quite an interesting one, and I'm quite pleased that she's come back to England. She was playing in the NWSL, and I don't know if her being in America prevented her being in the Lionesses squad, because I'm sure Serena, has eyes on that league, but hopefully being back in England is going to be good for her international career as much as club career. And then you've also got Alana Kennedy, who was announced at the same time as Zellem, who formerly played for Man City. So they've all had, real experience in the WSL. Jana Fernandez has come from Barcelona, another one of those signings where the Barcelona fans, as far as I can see on social media, were really upset that she'd left. She's a young talent, so that's a great signing for them. And then you've got Elena Linari, who people may remember from the summer for Italy, had a fantastic tournament in defence. And then various other players who you may not have heard of. I think 11 players have left from the squad that they had last season. And I would not be surprised if up until that deadline, more and more come in. I think the concern initially is going to be, you've got so many new players playing together. It's going to take time, isn't it, for them to all gel.
And they've got difficult fixtures at the start as well.
Really tough, but I think that might work in their favour, because if you had a look at fixtures and you're targeting where you're going to get points from, you're probably not expecting to beat Arsenal away or City away. So if you're using those games as an opportunity to gel in, then by the time they're playing in those matches where they would expect to get points, then maybe they're at that position where they can.
Okay, so they play in Bromley. Am I right
Yeah.
in saying that? It's not Bromley's ground, is it? Is it their own ground?
It's,
Oh, it is
it's
Bromley's ground.
yeah, Hayes Lane.
Okay,
That's new for this season.
right. So they were playing somewhere else last season. So they're going there now. That holds 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough?
For now, I think, yeah. I mean, you've got to remember that all the other clubs have got people who support the men's teams. They will naturally bring those people across. You're not going to get, like, obviously it's a breakaway from Millwall. You're not going to get Millwall fans, for example. Maybe some Millwall fans that live local to Bromley might. But I think what London City are doing is they're building their own fresh fan base of solely women's football fans. And that's going to take time to grow. I have actually I bought a season ticket for London City because it's now the closest stadium to where I live. And that was £90. So £90 for the 11 WSL games, and I think all the cup.
Can't argue that, mate.
No, exactly. And because the ground's so small, I think my season ticket's like row 4 or 5, and the stand that I'm in holds 12 rows, maybe, or So I'm going to have an awesome seat for those home matches against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and so on. So
I'm really intrigued how this works out because clearly with the backing of Kang, we're in a position here where I think in a few years we'll be talking about them, maybe even winning the WSL, certainly going to be heading towards Champions League football, we think, unless there's some reason why that changes. She's extremely driven in terms of what she wants to do with this football club, and it is really unique. We're seeing all the other clubs playing more and more in their stadiums, like Arsenal playing, committed to playing all their games at the Emirates, for example. We're seeing United play at Old Trafford a lot more, Liverpool, Anfield, etc. Everton are playing all their games at Goodison Park now this season as the men's team move into the Hilly Dick. So I'm intrigued with this because, as you quite rightly say, there's no backing or kind of history behind the support. But there's got to be a chance here that as women's game continues to grow and grow, that new people will in a few years' time choose London City Lionesses. And because it's got no affiliation to a men's club or anything, will probably gain greater loyalty quicker. I wonder if there's a scenario here in 20 years or so where we're looking at them as the biggest club in women's football. Can you foresee that as a possibility?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think that they have a quite a large potential audience in the sense of like the whole of Kent as a county, for example. There's no Gillingham as a men's football club is the biggest football club in the county, but there is no female Gillingham team. So essentially, you've got the whole county that of young women footballers who will naturally be drawn to London City because they'll be the closest team that they can go and watch. And I think it will take time, but they will definitely build up that support. I mean, even like obviously I'm a Liverpool fan and um, I'm supporting the Liverpool women's team, but having seen how the women's team has sort of been treated, shall we say, by the club and the lack of funding and support. And then you see that London City, you know, it is all driven for women's football. They've got this new training facility. Michelle Kang is putting so much of her own money in. And I think she's doing that because she sees it as obviously a business venture that eventually is gonna, you know, she will get that return on investment. But you will get people who are drawn into women's football and are drawn to London City because it is an independently women's football team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess next stages for them are to be competitive in the first instance. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone thinks that they're going to go back down. They're here to stay. And I guess eventually it's build their own stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, and I believe that there's already talks of that, which you know I think
It's not, it won't take long for them to think, oh, shite, we're in the Women's Champions League, 5,000 is not enough.
yeah,
It's not going to take long.
Brighton are also looking at building a stadium just for the
I've
women
seen
as
that.
well. So
Have, have
yeah,
they, London City, are they, have they kind of pissed the locals off, if you want? Like, is there any anxiety from, let's call them the men's clubs, if you will, the clubs that got affiliation to the men's clubs? Is there any kind of anxiety about them because they are a single affiliation?
I think I think there's a bit of a split in the sort of women's football fans in that I guess a bit like Wrexham, people look at them as buying success, which they are doing. You can't argue with that. Um, but then you've got the other side where people are arguing, well, that you know they are investing in women's football. There is a reason that all of these players are choosing to go, and obviously money's part of it. But they believe in the project that Michelle Kang is building. I think naturally, Chelsea, Arsenal, obviously as London rivals, fans of those clubs will probably grow to hate London City, and there'll probably be a big rivalry. But that'll be because they've got another club that's challenging them for titles, I'd imagine.
I want Tottenham's women's team to be hated. I feel like I'm a long way from that, unfortunately. Should we expect the same four to challenge for the title this year, or let me put that a different way? Are there only four that we would expect of having a chance of challenging for the title? We're obviously saying Chelsea, Arsenal, the two Manchester clubs.
Yeah, I think Man United may struggle because of being
You're a
back
Liverpool
in
fan.
Europe. No. Um, I think that they're playing in the Champions League. If they beat Bran, I mean, even if they don't, they'll be in the Europa League. Having those European matches, I don't know if they've got enough squad depth um, to cope with that. So I think that could affect them. Whereas Man City, the last time Man City didn't play in Europe, they had a really close title race with Chelsea, and I think they were 2 points off. So City had a poor, disappointing season last season, but they had loads of injuries. The likes of Lauren Hemp and Alex Greenwood were out for large parts of the season. So if they can keep players fit, then yeah, I think Arsenal, City, and Chelsea will hopefully be quite
I,
close.
I guess one thing to maybe contradict against that for United is they had a lot of problems last year in terms of training facilities, didn't they? And that's the new Carrington at United's done now, isn't it? So I presume they've gone back there. That should be helpful.
Yeah, I'm still not overly confident in how much support they are getting from the club, though. I mean, Ratcliffe didn't go to the FA Cup final, for example. It's not a great look when your owner is not, attending a domestic cup final for the club that they're supposed to support.
You say that. I don't know if Daniel Levy went to when Tottenham got to the final. I don't know if he went. I've no idea to tell you the truth.
The men or the women?
No, when or probably if it had been as if the men's been in a cup final, Lauren.
Oh yes,
But
European.
no, I mean for the women, I don't know if he went or not when we got there a couple of years ago. I'm not
But is
sure.
is Daniel Levy supportive of the women's team?
I think most Tottenham fans would be hopeful that he wasn't supportive of the men's team, but that's a different podcast. Yeah, I don't think Tottenham are trying,
Okay.
but
I think
also,
comments that Ratcliffe has
Tottenham's
made.
team, I've spoken about this on our Patreon podcast. Tottenham's women's team is still quite new, really. It's in its infancy.
Hmm.
Like in comparison, say Arsenal, Arsenal were already winning domestic titles, and Tottenham's women's team was essentially spawned from Broxbourne, basically. So
I think they've got a new training facility. Part of your
they are building something,
Yeah, they've
yeah.
got a new part. So obviously that shows an intent.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Ratcliffe's comments in the media have kind of indicated that the women's football team is bottom of his list, and I know he's a businessman, and obviously there's things he's trying to do at Man United, but um, I have just concerns, I'd say, over Man United and Liverpool. I'm not just slating Man United. The two biggest clubs in men's football do not offer that same level of support as teams like Arsenal and Chelsea do, and
No,
City.
fair. So I guess for Arsenal, it's now about winning the domestic title and won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Chelsea obviously went unbeaten in WSL last year, but this Champions League seems to be proven elusive. They'd happily swap this year, wouldn't they? Maybe or
I think
not? Is it kind of unforgivable if Chelsea don't win the WSL?
Yeah, I think Chelsea fans obviously they're desperate to win the Champions League, but I think the WSL is still really important. Um, but yeah, Arsenal have got to be desperate to win it. I think they've got a good chance. Last season, they obviously started the season with Jonas Eidevall, and obviously that didn't start well, and he got sacked. And we saw in the Champions League final how good Rani Slegers can set her team up tactically. The thing for Arsenal is just consistency. So if they can get a good start to the season, I think for me, I would just love that the title race carries on for the whole season. It just feels like there's an inevitability every season that Chelsea get ahead and then they're not going to drop the points. So it kind of kills it.
Yeah, it would be healthy if that end of it is more
Hmm.
competitive. Do we expect it to be competitive at the other end of the table?
I think my personal opinion is that Leicester are going to be rock bottom, um, and Spurs, West Ham, possibly Liverpool will all be down there. But I just don't think Leicester will have enough to fight against it.
Is there any relation there to of the 12 WSL teams? You've got London City, you've got 10 that have got men's Premier League clubs, and obviously Leicester no longer are. Is that an impact that trickles from the men's team to the women's team in terms of its backing because Leicester have fallen out of the men's Premier League?
Potentially, but Leicester as a club have been quite good in supporting the women's team. So they've played at the King Power. They played there all last season, and obviously that's continuing. I think they've got this new director of football who's got all these big ideas, but without bringing players in and without having a manager, it's going to be tough for them. So it's just how quickly they can sort of turn that around, I guess.
And London City, I'm guessing, is making all those that were above the drop zone last year very nervous, right?
Yeah. I've got in my prediction, I've got Brighton fifth, London City, Everton, Villa, sort of as the middle pack. Um, yeah, I
So you
think
think Liverpool are in danger then?
not in danger per se, but I just think it'll be an underwhelming season. Gareth Taylor is he's got good nous in the women's game. He's obviously, he's proven himself. There were controversies over things like Chloe Kelly at City, but as a tactician and a style of football, I think it'll be interesting to watch. But we haven't reinvested the Olivia Smith money. We've lost Taylor Hines. So I don't see where the quality of player is coming from. That's the concern, really.
So I'm going to guess you're going to go Chelsea first, Arsenal second, City third, United fourth, and Leicester bottom.
I've actually got Arsenal top.
Do you think Arsenal win it?
Um, I guess that's more
I'm
of a
I'm
hope.
delighted, Lauren, because your predictions are useless, mate.
Yeah,
You
true.
talk a good game, but your predictions are bad, mate.
Yeah, that's more of a hope. I mean, they've massively strengthened with the signings they've made. I guess the concern for Arsenal is their defence. Leah Williamson's not going to start the season. She's got another knee injury, and they maybe don't have the same depth in their defence as they do going forward. And Chelsea have got so much strength in depth, so it will be dependent on injuries, I think. But hopefully they'll give it a good go. It'd just be nice to see someone else win it, to be honest.
Yeah, but not them. Let's finish with a bit of fantasy chat. I'm gonna let you lead on it. It's been a bit of a rebranding of the game. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's now called Aerial Fantasy. New logo, new name.
How
But
do you spell that?
Aerial.
Okay.
TV Aerial. There's an app and obviously website. It's very, very similar though. Anyone who played Fantasy WSL last season, it's essentially exactly the same, just a rebranding. Same rules. You've still got visionary points, so anyone who was 2% or less than 2% owned the previous game week picks up extra points and so on.
How does
There's
that work? Is it just doubled or
um 2 points.
just like on top? So if you score a goal, it's not like double, it's 2 points on top of
No,
that,
yeah,
is it?
I'm sure it's 2 points. So the brain fart. Sorry.
That's all
Uh,
right, mate.
yeah, I think it's 2 points. Um, in terms of teams to target at the start, I would say target Leicester. Anyone playing Leicester. Uh, Teams with good fixtures at the start. Everton have got a really nice start. They don't play anyone from last season's top four until week 6. So they've got Liverpool, Spurs, London City, Brighton, and Leicester in their first 5. And obviously, we've spoken about, London City might be good, but that will still be early on in their season. So it might be a good time to play them. Liverpool's start isn't bad. Everton, Leicester, Villa, the first 3. Chelsea, Arsenal, City, and United all play one of each other in the first 4. So you kind of want to, I guess, do a bit of a hokey cokey of, for example, I'm voiding Chelsea and City for the first game because they're playing each other. But then you've got Arsenal, Man United playing each other in week 3. So
And
there
they'll
might
play each other in week 5.
all 4 teams.
Yeah,
That's
so
probably
Chelsea go to United and Arsenal go to City.
yeah. And I think attacking assets that's fine, but yeah, obviously defensively that'll be something to consider.
Is there a free hit chip in this, Lauren?
There, there isn't, and the um the people who run it aren't massively helpful in giving chip information. So last season there was a random chip in the middle of the season, which isn't great. So at the moment there isn't a free hit. There's bench boost and triple captain, but not free hit.
So I take it a bench boost, but it's the same as FPL, does it?
Yes, yeah. I am starting with 3 Everton players. As I said, they've got a good start, but they've also got some really valuable, sort of low value players. So most of their defence are 4 million players. So I've got Pacheco, as I mentioned.
Give us a rundown of your draft
Okay,
from from
so
from back to front. We've got it on screen for those on YouTube.
goalkeepers, Ball Graf from Liverpool. She will be starting the season because Rachel Laws, the usual goalkeeper, has a hand injury and she's only 4 million. And then Leipzig from Leicester. And I know I've just slated Leicester, so you're thinking, why on earth would you have a Leicester goalkeeper? But the fixtures kind of with Liverpool and Leicester work quite well. So Liverpool have got Everton, Leicester, Villa, and then when Liverpool play Man United, Leicester are playing Spurs, and then so that's not a bad fixture to rotate in for. And they're both cheap, so it allows more money elsewhere. In the WSL game, you've got some really big hitters in defence. So I've got Katie McCabe, who is 8 million, and Maya Letitia, who is also 8 million. But they are two players who, as well as being in some of the best defensive teams, they also pick up loads of assists. They're really good, sort of, for attacking returns. Letitia and McCabe can also score goals. So I've got those two, quite a lot of money built in there, and then I've got Pacheco, 4 million, who also, when she was at Villa, picked up quite a few assists. And I've also got Ishikawa, who is one of the Everton defenders, 4 million again, and Rose of City, who I've got on the bench starting because they're obviously playing Chelsea. But she is expected to start the season as a 4 million Man City defender. So, it seems silly not to go with her, really. I've then got Bizet for Man United, and
it's not Marco Bizzo, is it?
No, don't mention Martinez to
No, I won't.
There's a bit of a toss up between her and Ella Toone. Bizet's 8.5 million and Toone's 9 million. I think Bizet's probably got a bit of a higher ceiling, so that's why I've gone with her. And obviously the $500,000 saving. Man United are playing Leicester on the first day, so I've gone with 3 Man United for
Their
that.
fixtures are pretty shocking straight after that, though, for United. After Leicester, London City away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, then Chelsea and Man City. Then they go to Brighton. That's what I've got on my ticker, unless that's incorrect.
I was under the illusion they're
I'm
not
going to blame Neil
playing
Thompson. I'm going to come for you if this is wrong. You done my ticker, mate.
Yeah, I've got after Chelsea, Everton, Brighton, Villa, and then City.
Okay.
Unless that's been rearranged.
No, I'm going to trust you more than Neil. Neil, that's it. You're sacked, mate. Let me deal with a planner.
I might be wrong. Who knows? I'll have a look at this. Yeah, I mean, I will probably be looking at getting Chelsea. At the moment, I've got no Chelsea, and that is partly because of the tough first fixture, but also because they've got so many players, a bit like Man City and the men's team.
Is it a rotation headache with them and
yes,
Champions League and
yeah, and because they've got so much quality. So Aggie Beaver Jones, for example, would be someone I'd be really interested in. She got a hat trick in the pre-season game against Milan at the weekend, but you don't know if she's going to start every game. So she's 10 million. It's a lot of money. All of their players are expensive. It's a lot of money if they're not going to start. I've got Mariona Caldente of Arsenal, takes penalties, scores goals, gets assists. It's a no-brainer, really. And then 2 midfielders, Vinola of Everton and Pubel of West Ham, who are both quite cheap but have really had good pre-seasons. And that's why they're in, to be honest. I've then got Cornelia Capox of Liverpool, who, if anyone is going to score for Liverpool, hopefully it'll be her. She's only 6 million, and as I said, we've got quite a nice start to the season. That will probably become Michelle Adjemang, but at the moment I don't know if she's going to start, and there's been absolutely no information on Brighton players, so I don't really want to take the gamble on Brighton until we know what the situation is. Turland is my captain at the moment, Man United striker. She has scored in their Champions League playoffs. She was consistently scoring last season, so it's a no-brainer really to have the team playing Leicester as your captain. And then Alessia Russo for Arsenal. Again, I'll probably switch that out. So when City have some easier fixtures, it's quite Russo and Khadija Shaw, Bunny Shaw are the same price, so it's quite
yeah.
easy.
I was going to ask about Bunny Shaw and the lack of City coverage. You've obviously avoided Chelsea City first game, but they are two of the stronger teams.
Yeah, they are. City, as I said, I mean, Arsenal have got London City at home and then West Ham away, whereas City are playing Brighton. So, I think the first two fixtures favour Russo. But then when Arsenal go to Man United, that will probably then switch to City will have Spurs and London City. So, or a Chelsea player. They've got Leicester and then West Ham. So yeah, Miedemar is also. She had a great pre-season again. Miedemar is another option for Man City.
Is there any strategy in terms of like, where you should put your money here? In
Well, I
terms of
think
like top attackers or
I think you've got to have one of Russo or Shaw, because if you don't, then you're kind of priced out of getting to them without doing two moves. You've got so many expensive defenders. I've only got two of them, but there are. I'll just go onto the players list. So McCabe and Letitia are 8 million. I believe Bronze is also 8 million.
and she's got competition now, as you said.
Williamson's 8 million, and obviously they're not starting the season. But Millie Bright,
So why are they priced so highly?
because of
Is it essentially we can obviously get games where Chelsea's playing a weak team, for example, and they
Mhm.
might win 5 or 6-0. Is that because that occurrence is more regular?
Yeah, the golf in quality is obviously greater than you'd get in the Premier League, for example. You've got less teams, so that they're more frequently we're playing one of the lower teams, for example. And because that big four is so strong, if you look at the whole of Chelsea's back four is 7 million or above.
So if you
Arsenal
want some of it, you got to
7 million
pay
or
for it,
above.
basically.
Exactly. So that's where you've got to
See,
find those
FPL, take note again. More
yeah.
expensive players. That's what I want. Make my
There's
life difficult.
some great enablers though, which is good. So you've got some really expensive players and there's some great enablers.
Who's the one player that you is not in your draft? Do you like? Oh crap! I wish they were there.
Um, Probably Miedemar, because I know that she can score against anyone. Obviously they're playing Chelsea, but she is. But I can't fit her in. And then you also got Beaver Jones. I think could have a great season, but there's just that question mark over is she going to play?
Minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck with that, Lauren. Good luck for the new season. I hope everybody enjoys the new WSL season. It's a shame that England's not clashing with Chelsea Man City Friday night, because I might just pick Chelsea Man City. Anyway, if you're going to WSL game this weekend, enjoy yourself and check if you can have a beer in the ground or not. Lauren, anything you want to plug before we finish, mate?
No, no, just keep supporting women's football, and thank you again, James, for your
We,
support.
we shall try. Thank you very much. Enjoy the new season, everyone. Please be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.